Guys, I want to start this video off with a little public service reminder. Hey, hit that subscribe button because, as you see from here, 95% of the people that watch my videos don't subscribe. So come on, help a brother out, hit the subscribe button, and then you'll know when I put up more videos, might help you fix your four-wheeler. So, appreciate you ahead of time. What's up, guys? Four-wheeler Doctor back again. It's been a while, but been working on a couple long projects, and this is one of them here. That one out there is another one, but this is a 350 Rancher motor that everybody's been asking about. Getting the assembly video put back together. Ran into an issue with the cylinder head, so had to order a part. Probably gonna be up pretty quick, but got the bike over here to go ahead and get ready to put the motor on. One of the other things that I found wrong with this thing, among many things that's wrong with it, is the wheel bearing. Particularly on this side, this one here barely has any play whatsoever in it, which is odd. But we're going to replace the wheel bearings on this thing. Bought a kit off eBay. 4 bearings, 4 seals. Actually, 8 bearings. I'm sorry, 4 bearings, 4 seals. I'm right. I don't know why I doubted myself. But anyway, that's what it is. This is a 2003 Rancher 2-wheel drive. So it's a little different than the 4-wheel drive bearings. I'm hoping this has not messed the brake hub up any real bad, which I have another one on a parts bike, but hopefully we don't have to use that. So we're going to start off by pulling the tire off. This has got factory lug nuts on it, so it's 17 millimeters. Sometimes if you're running an aftermarket rim, it may be a 14. So get those pulled off, and I'll show you what we got. All right, guys, we got the tire loosened up at about the same angle that it was when it was tightened up. Alright, so now this is what you got. You got the brake drum, the cotter pin, and the not really called an axle nut, I guess you call it a spindle nut. So get that cotter pin out. I like to use these side wire cutters, I guess you call them. They're real good to catch the edge of these cotter pins and bend them around so you can get them out. I'll bend this one up. Alright, let's see if we can get the tap out of there. They also work pretty good to grab that edge of the cotter pin and pinch it just a little bit, not enough to cut through it, but enough to get it to slide out. You can get the cotter pin out just like that. This thing is a pretty sure it's a 27 millimeter. Yep, 27 millimeter. Pull that off. And you also want to pay attention. There's a spacer in there that will need to come off as well and need to go back on too. So I think this bearing, one of these bearings, might be hung on here. Beat on it a little bit with a hammer. Sometimes you can tap on the face of this brake drum with a hammer to get it to make that bearing wiggle around. That's not really working. So next thing I can resort to, I think I actually made a puller one time to pull these things off of here. So I got 2 options. Let me get something. Hang on. Alright, guys, I've been accused of this before, but I've been known to rig some stuff up just to make it work. I think that might be the engineer in me, but I rigged this up. This here will screw onto a lug nut, and then this will screw on to these extensions here, which will go onto this thing and this to pull this brake drum off. So you just screw these on here like this. This is actually a bearing separator kit I bought. Matter of fact, it may have come from Harbor Freight. So you can pick one up fairly inexpensively. The only thing you would have to make or figure out how to do is attach it to a lug nut. So you put your little spanner bar or whatever you want to call this thing on there, like that. Screw this thing down in there. Hopefully I don't run out of threads. See, sometimes it helps to be innovative, but the bearing's still stuck on there. So it slid it out a pretty good ways, but it didn't slide it out far enough. But you know what, it just so happens I've got some shorter extension pieces here. I'll just screw these on here, press it just a little bit more, and get the thing completely off of here. And we'll have this thing off in our hand in just a second. Actually, I was going to cut the camera off so you didn't have to see this, but just so you guys out there don't tell me I'm a lie, or don't think I'm a lie, I'll show you how to do it. Ooh, that one's been torqued on a little bit. Well, both of these things have. They're a little bit warped. There again, that might be the Harbor Freight on them. So, put the nut on there, put the washer on there, nut on this one, the washer off of it. That had a pretty good ring to it. Slide this thing in here like this, slide it on in here like that. Tighten the nuts down just a little bit and run this thing in a little bit more. Just like that. And there you go. That's really what we're working with. The both of the bearings are in here. Seals on the outside, seals on the inside. So let me get my little puller apparatus off and I'll cut the camera back on in a sec. Alright guys, so just to show you what we're dealing with here. This thing's been in there for a while and there's actually 2 spiders that are living inside of it there. A little bit weird. But we got to get this sleeve out. There it is, just pulled it out with my finger. Make sure you hang on to that because it really has some wobble to it if you do not install that back. The way these bearings work in these hubs or drums or whatever you want to call it is I'm going to go ahead and pull this outer seal off with my seal puller. Try to at least. There you go. The way they work is so you got a bearing here and a bearing here. Both of the bearings are right on the outside edge. And in between the two, there's a sleeve. Well, I'm not real sure of the technical or proper way to get these things out. But what I normally do is take a punch, a chisel, something along those lines, stick it in there and catch that edge of that, this would be the inner bearing, catch the edge of that inner bearing, tap it with a hammer, move to the other side, tap it, work your way out like that. Once you get that other bearing out, the sleeve will come out. Then you can just knock the other one out with a socket, the right size socket or whatever. But the way it is now, if you slide a socket down in there, it's not going to catch the other side. So you have to use something that you can just catch a side and then work the other side, work the other side. So I'm going to see if I can find my punch that I normally do this with. And I'll set this down on the floor and see if I can show you how to do it. Alright guys, here we've got a punch here. It's actually kind of flared out a little bit on the end. And I should be able to catch this thing in here and catch that edge of that bearing and tap it. Actually, it's coming out, but I'm going to have to set it up. It's almost hitting the floor as it's coming out. So let me get something to sit it on. So it's going up off the floor a little ways. Right there. That'll work. Give us a little bit more pressing room. So just work your way around. I'm probably not going to bore you with watching me knock this thing out of here, but you kind of get the idea. There's a couple other ways to do this. One of them is you can take and weld a gob of weld around the inside of this to make it smaller, and then take and knock it out with a chisel at that point, or whatever, a socket, whatever you want to use then, or press it out with your press. And blind bearing puller, you actually can get it in there and catch right inside of that lip and pull it out like that. So there's a couple ways to do it, but I'm just going to try to beat this one out, and I'm not going to bore you with the details. So I'll cut the camera back on when I get it knocked out. Alright guys, I beat on this thing for a little bit and didn't really have a whole lot of headway. So I ended up resorting to option number 2, which I mentioned earlier, is welding the end of a bearing up, which I did here. Don't really have to weld the whole thing up. If you have a, I got a brass punch here that's pretty close to fitting inside of this thing, so you just really have to put about a bead or two around there to let it catch. Put it through with the press. You actually could have hit it with a hammer to knock it out of there too, but knock that one side out, flip it around, take a little bit bigger socket, which in this case I used a 3/4 inch deep well to press the other one out, and this is the sleeve that comes out in between the two. Just make sure you put that thing back in when you put these bearings, put this drum back together, I guess you'd say. These bearings are the same front and rear, so I usually put a little oil around the edges of them, slide them back in here just like this, press one side in, put your sleeve in, press the other side in till it bottoms out, put your seals on the front and the back side, and bolt it back together. Pretty much done there. This guy didn't really care about fixing his brakes while I was in there, so we're going to leave them like they are. Otherwise you would normally replace the brake pads on a bike like this, especially in that bad a shape, but he didn't want it. So I think I'm going to press those back together, and I'll cut the camera back on right before I bolt everything back onto the spindle. Alright guys, I got both of these bearings pressed in here. The back one, as you can see, about flushes up with the back of the hub, and the front one goes a little deeper. I actually pressed the back one in first until it bottomed out, put the sleeve in there, and then press this front one in until it bottomed out, and that leaves a little bit of room for your seal. I'm not real sure why this kit came with 4 seals. Maybe this probably works for various different models, but maybe some of the newer ones or older ones use 2 seals, a seal at the front and rear, but this one here only has a seal at the front. So I'm going to tap that thing down in there with my seal driver, not the puller. And the next thing to go in will be your little collar. Don't forget that thing. I've seen taking these things apart before, and folks will be left this off and just have the nut jammed up in there, and that's no way to do it. So the last thing to do, in my case, like I said, we're not going to do anything with the brakes, but I still may oil these seals up on this thing with some wheel bearing grease and tighten that nut back down. I usually tighten it pretty tight, and then about as far as we'll go with the impact, and then line the slot up so that your cotter pin will fit back in there, and that's pretty much it. Don't mess with we didn't mess with the brakes in this case, and even if you do mess with the brakes, you shouldn't have to bleed them as long as you don't break a brake line. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, this one was very, very wore out. The other side's a lot tighter, but I'm still going to replace them since I got them. So, alright, you guys check out my other videos. Stay tuned for this Rancher build. Like I said, I'm waiting on the head to get here, and after that, I'll have the assembly video up that everybody's wanting. Alright, y'all have a good night.